Hi everyone, and welcome to our video. Alicia and Morgan have agreed to put this together for you guys to go over all your questions that you submitted on Instagram, and this is going to be so valuable. So if you're competing, or maybe you're watching this in the future and you're thinking of competing, definitely check this out. You'll have answers to everything. And then if you have questions, leave them in the comments down below, and maybe we'll do a part two in the future. So I'm going to hand it off to Morgan to do a little introduction and then Alicia, then we'll get started.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Morgan. I'm the reigning Miss Queen Alberta 2024. I'm super excited to be answering these questions for you guys and to be actually doing a static video that will be indefinite. So you guys can come and look at it at any time. And who knows, maybe one day the future Miss Queen Alberta 2030 will be watching this taking tips. So I hope that this serves for you guys and that you find something worth value. And I'm super excited to be able to share a bit of my insight and my story with you guys.
Thanks, Morgan.
Hi, I'm Alisha. I'm your Miss Queen Teen Alberta 2024. I'm really excited to meet you guys all in a few weeks and answer all your guys' questions as well. And I can't wait to get started.
Awesome, thanks. Okay, so we have a huge list of all the questions you guys submitted, and we'll go over that. And then if we think of something we want to add in, we might do so. So I love the first question, and I would love both of you to answer it, is what is your favorite memory from pageant weekend when you were competing for Miss Queen Alberta and Miss Queen Teen Alberta?
My favorite memory from the Miss Queen Alberta pageant was when we had the opening number and it was all everybody was circling through and I got to have just like I was the odd number out. I was the last one put on stage. I had boots and I kind of got to add my own little bit of flair. And somebody who has grown up on the stage dancing, performing, that was just a moment where I found my comfort. I got to break the nerves and I encourage anybody who is new to the stage, comfortable with the stage, that in that opening number, when you have all the other delegates alongside with you, the title holders, to really take in that moment and leave it out there, get rid of the nervous energy, find your inner aura, if you will, and be excited to be there. So that has to be for sure one of my favorite moments.
I love that. What about you, Alicia?
Um, I can't say opening number is my favorite, so I don't have an opening number answer for that. But I think the most memorable moment for me was after the announced top five, and me and Sky were going backstage. Me and her got to the top of the stairs, and we looked at each other, and all that we said was, "Oh my God, we're title holders!" And that was the moment for me that really clicked, realizing that, oh wait, this actually just happened. I made it and I finished, and now I'm a title holder. It didn't matter what title I had. It was just that moment there realizing that I was actually a title holder.
I love that. And for those of you who don't know, if you make it to the top five, it's guaranteed that you're getting a title. You just don't know if it's a city title, a regional title, or if you win the Alberta title. So that moment backstage is so special, and the energy is is unlike anything, honestly. And I think these two can speak to that. Awesome. Okay. So the next question is, what are some of your best tips for organization?
I'll
Who?
let you take this one away, my dear.
I think my best tip for organization is keeping a separate notebook dedicated to the pageant itself. So for me, I have a different notebook from nationals to Queen Alberta, and it will have all my notes from any coaching sessions I do, any personal notes, platform posts, anything that's out of the delegates kit itself. I rewrite it, write it down, and it's in this notebook. And I take this notebook with me to the pageant, and so that I can reread it whenever I feel like it, have all that information refreshed, and that is how I stay organized.
I can 100% agree. However, you need to jot down information that it sticks with you, something where you can go back because when stress is heightened, there's a peak performance level in stress. And if you exceed that, having those mental notes and being able to see all that time, effort, and planning that you've put into the weekend and into the pageant itself can really bring you back to that peak performance.
I agree with everything you just said there. So next question is, how did you manage social media challenges well? And how did you keep it creative? You know, there's so much to think about and so much to do, and it's a busy weekend. So how did you make sure that it was unique and like staying true to you?
So for me, before Miss Queen Alberta. And the only thing next to doing the pageant and cowboy boots did I butt heads with my coach bro with was social media. I was not a social media girl, still really not a social media girl. But if you looked at my social media, you would be fooled. For me, it took a long time to learn some tips and tricks because all too often everybody will look at other title holders or other influencers and be like, oh, well, and compare themselves. Find a tool that works for you, what is most efficient, most effective, and can help showcase what you are trying to portray and your ideal as an influencer or as somebody who's a figurehead, if you will, for lack of better words, that is efficient, effective, and resonates with you. For me, that's Canva. For some people, it's Visco. It's whatever you can do that works efficiently and effectively for you, and making sure that, again, you keep that notebook and a checklist. Hold yourself accountable, but find a way that works for you and stick to it.
Thank you for the tips. I really love this question. This is going to give the delegates watching some insight for sure. But what are your tips to stand out as a delegate?
Honestly, the biggest tip for standing out is being authentic to yourself. If you are being yourself and you are authentically being you, you are not trying to be somebody else or another title holder, another delegate, etc. You are already standing out enough. You do not need to go the extra 10 miles to portray somebody that you're not. Being authentic is the best way you can stand out as a delegate.
That's very
I,
true.
I couldn't have said that any better myself. It might be a risk because it isn't what maybe judges, fellow delegates, or something that really the pageant world hasn't ever seen. Um, Same thing I did with Queen Alberta. I went on stage in all rodeo jeans. Um, my kind of that was very true and resonated with me in terms of athletic wear. I was the only one. I stayed true to myself in that, and that really showed that not only I was confident in myself and knew who I was as a person, knew what I wanted to portray, and the judges got an honest, authentic version of myself. And being true to you speaks volumes. So really finding that inner confidence and tapping in with who you are and letting that come forward.
That's going to be huge. Don't be afraid, like you guys said, for delegates, this is huge. Just don't be afraid to showcase you and the parts of you that you think, maybe the organization or the judges or, title holders won't expect. Like, that's okay. We want to see that. And that's what's going to help you just truly stand out. Um, by not trying to be anyone else or copy anyone. That's going to be key. So thank you for those answers. And this next one, I'd love you both to answer just because you've had different experiences as, a teen delegate and a miss. But we had a lot of questions about what girls should expect in their interview. What is it like? What are the judges like? How does it work? So I'll have you both answer if you don't mind.
I will go second. So go ahead, Alicia.
Man, I didn't think. Um, I'm having a total like it's gone. Any thought I just had, gone. Give
Well,
me
this
like
is actually perfect for the delegates to see that even title holders sometimes we'll have a moment where it's like, oh, I don't have an answer right now. Like we are also, like we as in you guys, like human being, and it can happen sometimes, right? Where you're just like, I don't know what to say. It happens to everyone. So I think that's actually a perfect moment for the delegates to see like everyone goes through that. But like what was your interview like, Osha? Like what do you remember when you were competing and just like handling those nerves and like walking into the room? What was that like for you?
I think walking into my interview, my hands were never more sweaty in my life. And I will not lie about that. My hands were so sweaty, and I think my legs were shaking because I was so nervous going into it. Even though I knew the judges weren't going to be asking me any hard questions or anything that I didn't know the answer to, it was just nerve-wracking for me to be in that setting. It didn't matter how many times I practiced my interview, it was still something really, really nervous for me. Um, I think everyone's interview is completely different. Everyone has different platforms, different things that they've posted on social media. I can't compare my interview to anybody else's. It's not going to be like anybody else's. Um, I don't even remember what questions I was asked in my interview because I totally blacked out during my interview. They asked me questions and I knew that. I just don't know what they asked me.
Yeah.
But it's just staying true to yourself and not essentially lying about your answers, saying things that you aren't going to accomplish, or taking answers from somebody else saying like, oh, like so and so posted their goals, I'm gonna post my goals like this, and then saying those goals out loud. Keep your goals, say what you're gonna say, show them why you should be the next title holder, rather than saying things that maybe a past title holder did. You saw this title holder go do this. You don't want to go out and say that. Keep authentic to yourself in your interview.
Absolutely.
I think for myself, this is when I can touch on a little bit uh in a special way, I guess, in a kind of a way. Because I was dumbfounded when I got the top interview award at Miss Queen Alberta with the Scott Subaru Award. Because I was most confident and most excited for the interview because I'm a very strong, well-spoken individual for the most part when it comes to something I'm passionate about. And I know who I am as a person. I knew the message I wanted to get through, and I was like, I got this. I was excited, but then I was sitting outside of that room, and that hallway was about 100 degrees, and I was shaking. I walked in there and I was shaking so bad. Before I sat down, they actually asked me if I was okay or if I was going to pass out. And I sat down and I was ready for the first question. I almost felt like I was in grade, like kindergarten all over again. I sat very still and I was ready. And then it was just like a sheet came down. They asked me a question. And because my platform is so authentic and personal to me, I burst into tears because it was the first time that I had the opportunity to really speak my truth, be honest with it, be precise, and advocate for something that had been a struggle for me and something that I kept to myself because it was seen to be a weakness. It was like portrayed to be a certain way. I actually burst into tears, and I was like, I came out of the interview, and I was like, the one point, part of the competition, I was like, I was most excited for. I thought I was going to do really well with. I was going to be well spoken, clear. I actually just fell apart and almost threw up. And I totally bombed that. And I was beside myself um, because I was, how much time do I have? And they think I'm too nervous, or how do I present myself? You know what? Your nerves show that you care. Um, that your platform, and when you're talking about whatever it might be that you're answering in the interview, that shows that your answer is authentic. If you need to have a moment, have a moment. Keep yourself together, be confident, say what you need to say. And I think the most important part in that is if you're honest and you're true to yourself and you really know what your message is or what you have to say or what your advocacy is for, I think that's a good indication for an individual to know where they need to develop their platform, their like coaching, they're maybe understanding part of themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't mean any one individual is ahead of another. Or if your interview doesn't go the way you want it to, that's okay because you're going to get different judges who have different interpretations. But that's a good indication of where you're at in your journey. And, you can come out of that and reflect and, write some notes for yourselves. It's all part of learning, and they're not there to trap you, they're not there to scare you. So take the moment to speak your truth, be authentic with yourself. And when you're communicating about your goals and what your plans will be, if you're a title holder, whatever it might be, I would strongly recommend that you choose something that you know for confidence you have followed through with, because that will be what is remembered. And if judges come back in future and they're, oh, you know what, you remember when so and so said this? Hey, did that happen? You're setting up the future of yourself and the authenticity of your word. And it's okay if things change or things don't work out, but make sure that it's authentic and know that your delivery will show that.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing all of that. And, something we do get asked very often is what are the judges like? And are they scary? Are they intimidating? And I won't sit here and say they're never intimidating. Like, of course, you care, you are nervous. They might seem a bit intimidating, but I think Alicia and Morgan can both speak to the fact that the judges are so kind, so understanding. They're never trying to trap you or ask you a tough question just to like trick you. Like they genuinely want to see you shine and thrive and excel. And I know these two will agree with me on that. Like they truly are just there to support you.
Absolutely.
Perfect. So, next question is what is your best tip for live Q&A. So you made it to the top five, like we talked about with Alisha. You realize I'm getting a title, but it's not done yet. There's still that live Q&A. What is your tip to just absolutely crush that and do your best?
I would say for the live Q&A, think about what you didn't get to say that you really wish you could have said in the interview. Find a way to put that into your answer and start with a beginning. So story, statement, question repeated and how it answered. So summary. And it's very quick. You can do it in a split second, this, and this, but that helps you keep on focus. And it's far better to say nothing and take a second to breathe and let them hear the question. And you think, okay, this is what I'm going to answer. I remember when, but da 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 da. This taught me da 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 da. And this resonates with this question. Thank you. That is your full answer. And that is, and you can work in whatever you need to or what you missed in your interview because it's something that's stuck with you. It's a thought. And even if it's out of pocket question or totally throws you off, just take that's 30 seconds, not even, it will feel like 30 seconds, but it will really be 10. Take a second, breathe, beginning, middle, end, and leave it at that. Rather than saying, take a second, pause. Because
Yeah.
when you say, all of a sudden you're unsure. You pause, you're thoughtful. Very, very slight difference, very different outcome and portrayal of answer.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's okay to take a moment to collect yourself.
Mhm.
Alicia, unless you want to add on to that, I have a question for you. So,
Okay.
what is something fun but unexpected going into pageantry where you were just like, I didn't think this is going to happen, or I didn't think a certain thing would be a certain way, and it turned out okay, but just something that delegates might not expect. Do you have anything in mind?
I think it's not exactly the pageant itself, but the part that's the most fun for me is building my advocacy and my platform.
Mhm.
Being able to share my advocacy, my platform, and do things with that, that is the funnest thing in the whole pageant itself for me, is having that extra voice and having that behind me and bringing it forward. It's something people take for granted and they're like, oh, well, it's just an advocacy, it's just a platform. That whole platform, that whole advocacy will become your whole entire life and then some. That is going to take you the furthest. So don't take that for granted.
I love that.
I
Platform
have
is
goosebumps. You couldn't have said it any better. Not at all.
Yeah, platform is huge. In any pageant, but especially in personality pageants, it's a part of your score. It's what we're looking for. And like Alicia said, it takes you way beyond just the pageant. It should really be your passion. So thank you for sharing that. The next question is we got a lot of delegates asking, what should I expect for rehearsals? What does that kind of look like? I think some girls are a little bit nervous about like dancing, which there's not a dance in the opening number this year. So, I mean, if you're a 2025 delegate, it could change in the future. But for 2025 delegates, so do you girls want to share anything about like what the behind the scenes of those rehearsals look like?
So right away, there's rehearsals in the first day. That is quite honestly just a moment for you to focus on you. You're going to learn your basically your delegate number. If you can count to 100, there's not 100 of you guys, but I'm saying you can count to 100, you'll be fine. Know who's ahead of you, know who's behind you. You'll be able to tell that on the first day. This is a chance to get to know each other and really strip the expectations of yourself. When you have an expectation of yourself, that's when you go from your peak performance of stress to starting to work yourself up and you're setting yourself up for struggle. You're there to be the best version of yourself and being who you are. Everybody walks differently. Watch people walk down the street. Nobody walks the same. So really like take that moment where it's out there and you know you got to walk on stage, find your groove, find your step. There is no right or wrong. That is when you can find it. Put yourself in your own little box, walk on that stage and be you. Don't worry about who's behind you. Don't worry about making a mistake. Only you know who you are. We're all human. They want, you know what? You make a mistake, play it off. They might know you've made a mistake. The audience doesn't, but they're okay, she's just made a mistake, but you know how she played off. They're going to look for those kinds of things. But I can't stress anything more than it is not a competition in rehearsal. It's not. It is about you. It's about of that is a personal time and a focus for you. And that was probably my biggest takeaway from nationals is I psyched myself out. And I have learned to really find my me and focus on me and my own self-awareness in a high anxiety environment because everybody's stressed out.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing all that. You've said it so well, and I think such a huge thing is confidence goes so far. And if you can just take a moment, if you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed in rehearsals and really collect yourself, and kind of bring that confidence up, that's going to help you so much when you hit the stage, just feeling good, feeling like you belong, like you're not out of place. And for any of delegates who are worried about, oh my gosh, like how am I going to remember the walking patterns, or how am I going to learn everything, don't worry. Like, there is time, you get to practice everything, and you will have that confidence when it's time to go. So thank you for sharing all of that. Alicia, what's one piece of advice that you heard that has helped you in pageantry, whether that was at provincials or even nationals or for both?
Honestly, it's kind of like piggybacking onto what Morgan said, but comparison is a theft of joy. That piece of information was said to me, and it was when I was preparing for provincials, and that took me so far of realizing that that was my issue, is that I was way more concerned about what everyone else is doing rather than focusing on what I'm doing and what I need to look forward to. And that piece of advice, I've said it so many times now that it's like comparison is the theft of joy. Focus on yourself, do you, and everything will work out fine.
Yes, you're 100% right. You are 100% right. And something I want to add is, in this competitive environment, sometimes it is easy to fall into this trap of comparing yourself or thinking, oh my gosh, her walk is better, her wardrobe is better, her social media is better. But that will truly take you off your focus and your game. And you have to remember that you have assets and qualities that make you shine as well. Maybe someone does have a nicer dress or a better walk, but that is not what you want to focus on to truly do your best and enjoy yourself. So I love the piece of advice that you shared. So thank you for that. The
I
next,
will
oh, sorry, go
piggyback if
ahead.
I can for just a second. I had something very similar said to me, but in words that I understood. Um, I had someone say, because I was looking for reassurance from everybody. When I was having my one-on-one meetings, when I was having coaching, I was, this is what I'm thinking, but I know it's a risk. I know this could hurt my score. And then somebody said, you know what? I'll be the first one to say that, yeah, it is a risk and it might hurt your score, but would you want to be successful, win, be crowned, any other way? Because I know that that risk is actually your true authenticity. And I sat back and that all of that doubt, all of that worry, gone. Because nobody should ever want to walk that stage and be like retain a title or gain a title, um, trying to fill shoes or be something that isn't so truly them.
Yep, 100%. That is great advice. It's so true, and that can apply to anyone, anywhere, honestly. So, the next question is, what strategies do you use to keep your energy um, up and stay authentic throughout the weekend? It can be a lot going on. It's very busy. It's hectic sometimes. So, what do you do to just make sure that you have that energy, but you're still being yourself?
I would say knowing what grounds you. For me, it's taking breaks. I spent any time that we really could have a break, I would go and check in with myself. I'd remove myself from like the group environment. I'd go outside, I'd go listen to music, I'd check in with myself, I'd do what I needed to do. But I really just made sure that I tuned in with what I needed, because that would be a moment for me to be like, okay, am I on the verge of freaking out? Because I might not have been aware of that, or, it's just a check-in, taking time for myself and allowing myself to be away from everybody else and not Oh, I wonder if I'm missing anything. You have your schedule. If you need to go and sit and be by yourself for some time, go be by yourself for some time.
Absolutely. Yeah, and remember to breathe. You know, when you're in those moments, it can be so much is going on, and you can just forget to take a few deep breaths, and that can just help you recenter and then continue. Because it is truly a busy weekend. These two can tell you that 10 times how hectic it can be. Our next question is what is considered a big no-no when it comes to pageant weekend and this competition environment?
Gossiping. That's it. Gossiping. It's not maybe the only no-no there is, but that is the biggest one during pageant weekend. If you come out to a group of girls and they are talking about another delegate, somebody else, get yourself out of that situation. You do not want to be in that situation talking poorly about others. You don't want to be seen in that scene. You don't want to be known as somebody that was talking bad about somebody or bullying somebody. That's not what this is about. You need to focus on yourself rather than the others around you.
That's negative juju. No room for negative juju and simply won't be tolerated. And it's obvious. Um, that also being said, it's a subconscious thing that, make sure that if you are going to interact with somebody and, you might have your own feelings with them, rather than making it like a grudge or obvious or uncomfortable, if they're looking for somebody to do up their dress and you notice it right away because of a self-awareness and you, oh yeah, I'll do it, but I'll do it up a little bit goofy or whatever, or I won't quite help, or I'll let the hangers like things hang out. Just don't. Sometimes it's what you don't say, it's what you don't do, and this weekend is about you.
That's amazing advice. And I can say from the organization standpoint, that is absolutely the biggest no-no because this is a sisterhood. We have to remember that. And we want you guys to feel like you're in a community that uplifts and support one another. And the last thing we need, of course, you put 40 amazing young women in a room together and they're competing against each other, there will be tension. But instead, channeling that through positivity and support and excitement, that is going to make you go so much further and feel better about yourself than kind of falling into these traps of negativity. So, Alicia and Morgan, you guys could not have said that more correctly. Like, that is the number one thing you just want to stay away from and just keep things positive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. So, the next question, I'd love for you both to answer this because I think, anyone watching will be quite curious. But what is one thing you think helped you stand out last year and ultimately end up winning that Alberta crown?
I will be completely honest. Um, in that top two moment, when I didn't actually hear my name called. I don't know what happened. All I know is in that moment I was trying not to be ill. Um, I cut the stage short and then I walked over to the podium where you were, Sophia, and I looked at you guys dead in the face and I said, "What do I do now?" Um, I was shocked because I was like, I previously, before seeing nationals with PPC, had this like fixed idea of pageantry. And then I thought, like that really just got punted out of the field. And I was like, do they realize who they just gave a crown to? I was in utter shock. And I think that that was really just me, what made me stand out, me being authentic and truly knowing who I am and what I had to say. And following through with that from the very beginning of when I started to put out my social media and my branding and everything that I put into all of my pageantry journey, from being completely authentic to myself through and through. And even if you see somebody do something that, oh, I really like that, appreciate it and enjoy it for what they are doing. That's their thing. Now that you see that, showing love to it, liking, comment, whatever it is, rather than being like, oh, I like that. I'm going to go do it, see the difference. Positive, positive juju, positive, and then negative. That's the copy. That's the influence. It's okay to cheer each other on and that kind of influence, if you will. But honestly, I think, even though I'm guessing, I think that it was really just that I was as true as I could be to myself from the beginning to the very end into today.
Thank you for sharing all that. It's true. We talked about it before earlier in the video. Authenticity truly is key. Like that is what will make you do your absolute best. And here's the proof. So how about you, Alicia?
Like when I think about it, I don't know what made me stand out compared to other delegates. Because when I surrounded myself in that moment, I was still focused on myself, but I was looking at others kind of thing, right? And I was like, we all either have the same charisms and things like that. Like we all had similarities because we found that out when we were mingling with each other, being like, oh, you're from here, I'm from here too, kind of thing, right? But I think the thing that made me stand out the most is how unique my platform is compared to others. My platform is very strong, and I think that's what made me stand out the most is the passion that I had for my platform and how much I did with my platform before I even obtained the title itself. I
Yeah.
did so much platform work before the pageant, before I even started pageantry alone, from ever since I was younger. I did a lot of community work, and I think overall, having that strong platform helped me stand out on with pageantry.
Absolutely. Platform is huge in this. So especially when you have something that you're passionate about and you've been working towards before you're even, applying for that crown, that can go a really long ways for sure. Okay, we're getting near the end here, but how do you handle nerves revolving around the competition, pageant weekend in general, when things are just feeling, all those jitters and start creeping in?
I would say for me, it's music, the alone time, being in tune with myself. Music is my therapy, listening to music, taking care of myself. I won't lie, I was a nervous wreck for probably 2 months leading up to Miss Queen Alberta. And the specifically this period of time that we're in right now, and like the final couple days or 2.5 weeks countdown, I literally was bawling every day. Have your support system, have your people, talk to them, make sure that it's quality over quantity, and really give yourself grace. You've worked very hard. And I've said this before, and I will say it till I'm blue in the face. If you put everything possible that you can forward in pageant weekend, no matter what pageant you're in, Miss Universe, if you do everything you can, then you're a winner. Because before you walk into that weekend, before you get in your vehicle to get to that weekend, you decide what winning is, because it definitely isn't either one of these. These, this is like a job. You're going for the job, who's going to be best for the job at the time. And I think the biggest thing is, if if you don't get the title of the pageant, the first go, the second go, if you don't quit, you can't lose. And it doesn't mean that you weren't amazing, you weren't great, that you weren't enough. It doesn't define you. It has nothing against you. It's being ready. Because you know what? I thought I was fully ready for this, and I can't even begin to say I was very much so ready for it, but you decide what you're going to do with the crown and the sash. And it's a lot of pressure because it's somebody who has a loud voice for themselves, a high expectation. There's a lot that goes into it. And there's a lot of self-pressure there. The fun part is the planning and the pageant. This is the hard work, is holding the crown up. And that's where sisterhood becomes so important, and positivity between each other.
Yeah. I love that. And leaning on each other because
Hmm.
you have that community is huge.
Well, this girl right in here with me is my best friend and my sister in another world. I've always only had my one super close best friend, and she's like a sister to me. And when we were crowned, I our hearts found one. She came in her dad's truck with her, and I came in boots, so she left in a semi and I left in a diesel. It was match made in heaven, and in our pictures when my hair was darker, we looked like sisters to an extent. So there was a connection there, and it just, you find a family and a person right away, and you grow together, you talk throughout the year in your reign. And I have goosebumps thinking about it. And I think that's the saddest and hardest part about giving out the title, is although we'll always be sister queens together, knowing that we're not the reigning ones together, it's tough because she pushed me to be a better version of myself and to be a better title holder. I look up to her even though she's a teen. And I hope that if nothing else, I could have been everything that she was hoping for in a miss during this reign.
Now you're gonna make me cry. Oh my God.
For those of you watching wondering, a lot of delegates and title holders grow such a bond and friendship over this, like truly, and you are seeing that unfold right in front of you. And I'm so glad that, you guys were able to build such a friendship and a connection. And like we said, having that support to really lean on each other, that's huge. And you're seeing that right in front of you, just how these friendships forge and are so powerful. And, it's just so much comes out of pageant weekend that you don't expect, truly. And that's one of the most rewarding parts.
Mhm.
So, Lisha, sorry, I know you're a bit teary-eyed now. Just wait till the farewell, then it's gonna be like waterworks.
Oh, don't even remind me about that.
So, here's my question to you is how can a delegate showcase their personality best during the weekend and make sure they really get to showcase who they are, and all of that? What would you say?
I feel like I've preached this a lot, but being authentic to yourself.
Yeah,
That's your personality. That should be showcasing enough as it is. You should not have to push it out anymore in case your personality isn't like that. But let's say you are someone who is shy and doesn't feel comfortable stepping out of that comfort zone, step out of that comfort zone. I can guarantee you right now, I was the kid at school that if I found out I had a presentation, I was skipping. And here I am now, and I go across Canada delivering workshops in schools. Step out of that comfort zone and show your personality, show who you are, and be authentic to yourself.
that's 100% great advice, and it's true. You need to
Mhm.
step out of that box because, this is your circle of comfort, but the crown is over here. And that's the truth, right? Like, and that goes for so many other things, but in this context is it's not going to be comfortable, but you will grow so much through these experiences. Okay. So, what tips do you have for someone who's struggling with confidence or just comparison? They're kind of worried going into this pageant weekend, just feeling like it's a lot and they want to do their best, of course.
What I would do is I would highly recommend writing it down. If you write it down in front of you and it's overwhelming, write it down, walk away from it, go and do something else, come back to it later, talk yourself through it almost in third person, coach yourself through it. And if you're struggling to answer what you're needing to and it's still overwhelming, work through it piece by piece. And I think that with the confidence and the comparison that comes with the self, like it's the pageantry, especially with PPC, is self-discovery. Um, I learned that, I'm not a pink girl even more than I ever thought I was. I knew who I was going in, and I know even more so who I am now. Um, and I think that what it is once you find who you truly are and what your message is, you will know you've found that because you have identified what you want your legacy to be. And when I say legacy, I mean not just what you want to be remembered for now, but forever. What's something that you will be able to carry on through your entire life and something you will be remembered for. And it's to this day that I will be known for wanting to be outside, cowboy boots, and rhinestones. And it's finding the trademark, what's going to identify you, what's going to remind people of you, and what is your legacy.
That last part for sure. What is your legacy? What do you want to leave behind? That's going to be huge. So, thanks, Morgan, for stating all of that. Whoever's watching this, I hope you're getting, a lot of value out of this and really getting an insight without the fluff of what this is all about and, you know, what we're looking for too. Now, Alisha, I always see you post on your stories all your bags, like packing and stuff. I'm pretty sure you're good at this. This is a great question that landed on you. Is what are some tips of things delegates should be packing and the non-obvious stuff? So, of course, they have their list of what we recommend, but what are a few things that you're like, you know what? You need this to survive pageant weekend?
Honestly, for nationals was when I had to like overpack because it's such a long time for Queen Alberta. I kind of just like half packed because I did get home from work the day before. So that was on me. That was my part. But the second time around, I thought about it and it was body tape, for my dresses, double-sided, because a few of my dresses didn't really fit me quite in the bust, so I had to tape them to my skin. And extra earring backings. It sounds weird, but I ended up losing half my earring backing, so I ended up bringing extra, thank goodness, or my earrings would have fell out. So those two things really help me with pageant weekend, and they're not something really you think about all the time either.
For sure. I think when it comes to packing, key here, whatever you pack, is pack it well, organized, sort things properly. I don't think any of us recommend throwing everything into a bag because then when you arrive and the stress of pageant weekend kind of sinks in, now it's like, oh my goodness, like where is everything? Where did I put this? Whereas if you're organized and you know exactly what you plan to wear, you have all those side things ready, your extra earring bags and body tape and all of that, you know where things are, you're organized, and then you can kind of have a calmer mind. I think that's key here with when it comes to packing. Yeah, perfect. So this is the last question. I'd love for both of you to answer it. I'm sure, if you stayed this long, you get this insight from Morgan and Alicia. But what traits are you guys looking for in your successor? The next Miss Queen Alberta, Miss Queen Teen Alberta, what is something that you will see and be like, yes, like that is exactly what we're looking for?
I'm gonna let you start, my dear.
Okay. Um, Passion. So passion about your platform, about what you want to do, what you want to accomplish with the crown. Um, Being authentic, how true you are to yourself. If you walk in there acting like somebody we all know you aren't. Um, there was another one I was saying. I lost my train of thought. Hold on, I will come back. But being true to yourself, having passion with your platform, and lots of being outgoing, energetic, all of those traits, I see myself in those. And that's really kind of something I would be looking for in a successor is seeing somebody who will take this crown and absolutely run with it and do the most they can do in the span of a year.
Mhm.
I love that. Yes. That's what we're looking for. You got that.
I would have said everything exactly as you did. However, I would say I am looking, and you know what? Everybody in some extent will do something amazing with the crown. It's to me, how I would perceive it or how I would say it is who is most prepared. And that is not something you can do in coaching. It's part of it, but who is most prepared personally, emotionally, who is it like the next step in their platform, all of those different things. So if you've started here with your platform prior to pageantry, now all of a sudden you're here. Okay, do you have something big, something you have a plan? Is there that fire? Is there that spark? Because I will say this firsthand, this crown and the sash is a dedication. It takes over your life. And if you don't, it's like the crown will find someone else. And that's okay. And that's the self-realization of, you know what, being happy and proud for other people and their successes. And that's a point of self-reflection of not that you didn't deserve it or you weren't good enough, but they were more ready for it. And that's okay. You have time to grow, things to work on, things to learn. That says nothing about you. And that's the root of deciding what success is. And it's regardless of the crown and the sash, um, of being successful in a pageant. Because once you've come out of it, even without the sash or the crown, I would have continued to do everything that I did. However, I would have done it as a previous delegate who's then going for nationals or going to compete next year. Even if I came dead last, I still would have continued to push. And then I would have been able to bring all of my experience and everything that I had done and learned and prepared to the title next year. So I'll leave it with you decide how you win. And it is, I'll tell you right now, again, it's not the crown and the sash. And who you are, the self-development, the growth, being true to yourself. And if you don't quit, you can't lose. And everybody who is there is proud of you for being you. And that's sometimes really hard to do. So silence that self-doubt, that voice in your head, be true to yourself, be confident in yourself. And if you need a moment and you need to be you, however that looks, be you regardless of what other people think. because it is a lot to go out into the world on social media, on society, and have people look at you. Because when you're in the pageant scene, it's like everybody's grabbing for the crown, the title. You go out into the world, there is more people who will go, oh, what's that? And give you that look, that stereotype I had, and you get to go, it's this. You get to talk about platform, you get to talk about sisterhood, you get to talk about all the amazing things that PPC is. And that was my favorite question. And I loved being doubted of, oh, you're a pageant queen or what you went into pageantry. Yes, you define that and what it is for your platform, your reign. And I'm looking for somebody. Everybody has it, but I want that to shine through and I want the crown to change whoever's life gets to wear it next as much as it has mine because it's truly a gift and a blessing.
Thank you so much to both of you for sharing that last bit. I think, if I were a delegate, I'd love to hear what you were both looking for, and that was so powerful. And from the organization's point of view, what I'd like to add is just, like you both said, be as prepared as you possibly can. And when you show up, you need to give it your 110%, truly. Pour your heart into this and focus and know your why. Why are you here? And it can't just be for the crown and sash and prizes because it'd be a lot cheaper and easier and less time and less energy spent if you just want to go, order a sash and crown online. But you're doing this because you have a purpose and you have to remember that. So let your light shine throughout the whole weekend and give it your all, and what is meant to happen will. And just like, Morgan has said, if you don't get it, that doesn't mean you won't get it in the future, right? Like you can come back and learn and grow and improve. And I think everything you guys said is just so relevant in terms of what we're looking for and how anyone competing can do their absolute best.
Persistence will reward you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to ask, are there any words that you two, like last words you want to say to the class of 2025 of Queen Alberta pageant? What do you want to leave them with? One last little line or sentence or something that someone who's watched it to this point, that says something to us about you. This matters to you. You care about this a lot, and you're already proving that you're doing everything you can to be most prepared. So, with that, what do you girls want to leave with whoever's watching this?
I'm excited to see the next queen in her boots.
Alicia, how about you?
I think it's just staying motivated. Stay motivated and put your best foot forward and just keep going.
That's really good advice. It's true. Everything that was said here for anyone watching, like definitely really take time to listen to everything and apply it in your prep and in your competition. If you watched until this point, we want you to go to one of our pin posts on Instagram, pick any, and drop some crown emojis. And because we're curious, who's watching this, who is going that extra mile to prep. So let us know by doing that. But regardless, I hope you got so much insight from this and enjoyed hearing from Alicia and Morgan and all the insights and the behind the scenes, but thank you both seriously for joining me and answering all these questions and just speaking so authentically to everything that we went over. It's going to be so valuable to anyone watching this, and I'm just grateful that you both joined and really spoke from the heart.
Thank you so much. And I'm so excited for the future for everyone and best of luck, whether this is being watched in the next few weeks or in a few years from now. I hope you take something away, something that resonated with you. Take what does, leave what doesn't. True to you, and best of luck in all your endeavors.
Thanks, Morgan. Awesome. Alicia, any last words or?
Morgan said everything I was thinking.
Okay, amazing. Well, thank you both again. And to whoever's watching this, good luck. We are rooting for you and we want you to just give it your all and see what happens. That's all you can do, truly. So we hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Hi guys.